I'm joined today by Salmaan and Oliver from Nameshapers, who are our social media experts. You might think that a conference is about presentations, about programs, about papers, but Salmaan and Oliver are going to tell us about social media and how that can change our perception of a conference and how it changes the way we interact with everything that's going on. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Sure, thanks.
Why are you going to be able to contribute so much to the conference this time at AMI 2015?
Well, I personally believe that on the one side, while you have a conference happening on an offline level, and offline means pretty much the 3,500 people that come together in this venue in Glasgow, there's also a huge conversation happening online. And next to the people that are actually following online that are here, there's also many people around the world that would love to hear about developments that have to do with medical education, because at the end of the day, to improve patient care and to improve the education, there are so many different medical faculties that couldn't make it for whichever reason they may be. So it's nice that we can actually find a way to share information and expertise that is actually happening here, and people that can actually engage on these platforms to also interact with each other. So I'd say it's more the translation of what happens offline and putting that online, and letting that engagement also take place.
So Oliver, what are the medium which we're going to be hearing about from you over the conference which we can use?
Well, as you might know, there are so many social media platforms out there, but still the most important one obviously is Twitter. Right? So especially on Twitter, we encourage everyone to use the hashtag AMI2015. So we can collect and find all the stories that are being told there, and that anyone can join the conversations that are happening. Now also there's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn and whatnot, but I would say Twitter is the most important one here.
There are two classes of people, I understand. There are digital natives like you guys, and there are digital foreigners or people who are very unfamiliar with this way of behaving and way of interacting. How do you engage a sort of digital dinosaur in this process?
I think it's about taking small steps. I don't see it as much as there's maybe a larger difference, but there was once upon a time that we didn't. I mean, I think nowadays people are using WhatsApp like it's the most normal thing in the world, but if you were to ask about 6-7 years ago, WhatsApp, nobody used it. I think social media is another platform for that as well. So even when it comes to Twitter, so if somebody approaches us and they say, well, I'm not on any of the mediums, but I'd love to interact, then it's very simple steps to kind of go onto Twitter and just follow the hashtag and just listen. Listening means just read what people are actually sharing and tweeting about. And if there's anything that interests you, then you can consider, do I want to start engaging with this conversation as well? So I think it's taking small steps. Don't get straight into the conversation and feel like you have to make a profile in every single medium. Just choose one, try it out, listen in a little bit, see what's going on, and if you like it, then start to engage into, and also choose your channel. Don't go on every single one just for the sake of it. You know, a lot of people, professionals, especially in medical education, they're on LinkedIn. So nowadays, instead of giving business cards to each other, we link with each other via LinkedIn. Now that's a very valuable network that you create, because that's not only for today at this conference, but that's also for your future career as well, or for a research that you might want to do with a professor from a different side of the world. You can connect with them very easily again.
Yeah, so the social media that people are using are actually very sustainable. So I think that from our experience, a lot of, as you would say in your words, the digital dinosaurs, they feel that it's something shallow, but it actually isn't, because it allows you to share the topics that you're passionate about and to find new peers to continue your conversations with. Now, recognizing that people might be scared to start joining whatever it may be, Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram. That's one of the reasons that we actually have this physical online help desk in the registration area at the AMI conference and other conferences, just to help people over the threshold they might experience in starting to join the online conversations.
So anyone here at the conference then can get themselves onto Twitter, they can go to the help desk, get some help with finding out how it all works, and then start posting a tweet or following some of the comments which are already being made. Last year I remember we had TV screens up around the conference and you could see what was going on, how many people were joining in. Are you monitoring that again?
Yes, of course, we're doing that again. So that's to kind of reward the people that are engaging online, firstly, because it's always nice to see your efforts being shown as output. Secondly, it's to help those people that are not actively engaging yet, to show that there are so many nice and fun things going on online. So we have those screens, and it would show things like not only tweets or photos being posted, but also the most engaging people on social media, right? So people who had received the most retweets of their content, because it says something about the content of any session. It's really interesting.
Yeah, the impact which it made on me last time was that there was a lot of conversation going on in the Twitter sphere, and it was related to the conference theme, but it was a different conversation, a different topic, not the one which was being discussed in public.
No. So often you'll realize that a lot of people like to just kind of use that platform to be able to have another type of conversation. And it's nice that that can take place there, and not even one, maybe multiple conversations happening at the same time. And as a user, you can choose which one do I want to engage in, or do I want to pose a question that I find personally important. And you'll even notice, like, even when there's like a plenary happening and people are tweeting at that moment, that suddenly somebody that doesn't maybe dare to go step with a microphone in front of a couple of thousand people to ask a question, but they can send a tweet and say, well, this is important to me, and it feels a little less of a threshold to do so.
So the engagement has suddenly gone global, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And talking about global, we're broadcasting, as you know, with Amy Live online around the world to 8 medical schools and 50 individuals in different places, which is a great part of the conference now.
Absolutely.
How can people out there in Sudan, Taiwan, Chile take part in the conference in this way?
I think very simply is the most basic way they can do so is via Twitter, which is going, as Oliver just mentioned, using the hashtag Amy2015 and just following the conversation there. The other one is, of course, the fact that we're on the live stream, so there's a little bit of interactivity on that window as well, which is happening. And I would say, next to reading what's happening, to engage in the conversation as well, to ask questions, to pose them, and to connect with people that they see on Twitter. What often is that there's different steps that are involved. You see someone on Twitter, you can check out their biography, they see, oh, they've got a very interesting position, and see if you can connect with them and start to continue a conversation from a group level or on a general stream to a one-on-one level. Cool. So it's nice that it goes from a very big generic stream timeline of people that are having a conversation with each other to very one-on-one conversations.
I think that's really important because, recognizing the online and offline worlds as parallel dimensions, they're actually the same. So these are real people, real individuals, real medical educators that are being online, talking on Twitter and all the other platforms. So it's really easy to connect with them one-on-one. So it's about real people.
Another buzzword which you told me before we were starting this interview was Storyfy. Do you want to tell us more about what that means?
Right, yes, of course. So Storyfy is all about stories that are being told. Now, without getting into too much detail about the platform that Storyfy is, it's basically a way to curate and create diaries, actually. So you can create stories and a nice overview where we can assemble everything that's been happening online. So we kind of bring together all the tweets and content and photos and videos that the visitors are creating. So obviously we are creating content here as the Amy official channels, but the thousands of attendees here and the infinite number of people that are watching this online and joining these conversations on the social media platforms, we can all tie that together into daily stories to have a nice overview, recap of what has happened online.
And I think there's probably a take-home message even for someone like me who could begin to get involved now. Thanks for making it so much clearer. What's the message we should be remembering?
I think firstly for the people at the conference, we need to realize how much of a privilege it is, from whichever background you come from, that you actually here, you're able to see people face to face. And the fact that if you see something that inspires you, if you see something that intrigues you, to share it, because it's not only about just sharing it for the sake of sharing, but it's also the fact that you don't know which other person on the other line, so somewhere else online, is getting inspired by your message and is getting intrigued by it and would like to do something with it. So that's the first thing I see, is the privilege of actually being here and about being able to share what we learn here. And the second thing is about the value that it has to connect with each other, to engage in the conversation, to grow professionally as well as personally by connecting with these individuals that are like-minded and like-spirited and have the same ambitions that you have within medical education.
Right. Salmaan, Oliver, thanks very much. Salmaan and Oliver from Name Shapers telling us about social media at AMY 2015.